I keep it going for Lee. Come on stage now. Come on, Staten Island. How you doing? Good to see you, man. Come close. Come close.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Don't back up. You just backed up.
Oh.
Step closer. There you go. Right there.
Yeah, I know. I'm a little short. Staten Island is like the perfect canvas for filming. I've filmed on Staten Island many times. I'm glad I learned that before I came up. You know, it's one of these places where you have to film something in New York, and it's supposed to take place elsewhere. You come to Staten Island. I've gone to like rural places. I've made it like Pennsylvania. We've gone to like some of the old Victorians in the lower part of the island, made it period pieces. Even once on Arthur Kill Avenue, there was a condominium. Oh, all I know is that we made it Arizona. I mean, the way you guys said, I have heard about Arizona. You go there on vacation, you stay for probation. But I don't know, that just came out. But the most memorable time I have was when I once filmed by the Bayonne Bridge. I was told on the street that I was filming at 2 pit bulls once ate a person, so watch out. So like, I was a little nervous going in. The director had picked this house where these heroin addicts lived. And we made a deal with them, but we asked them to stay in a hotel, and we put them up in the hotel because they were a little difficult to deal with. And I remember they just kept calling us saying that they needed more money. I'm like, we gave you $10,000. Like, I have to imagine you're doing okay. And there was this guy across the street. We had to use his driveway for a camera position. And apparently his wife kicked him out of the house and put him into the attached man cave. And like, he was showing me all these pictures with these celebrities, telling me that he works with these celebrities. These clearly look like fan pictures. And then he like took me up to his house. He's like, well, if you're ever interested in filming here, come here. So I go around, I take a look. And his wife's like, what are you doing in here? Get out. He's like, he just wants to film here. I'm like, oh my God, I'm like in the middle of watching them like go through their divorce settlement. This is scary. And then like, he kind of became a fan. He's like, you know, we should work together one day. I'm like, sure. And he's like, what are you doing now? It's like, I'm going to Duffy's for lunch. Yeah. Best burger. And I remember I was like, oh, it's a business lunch. This guy was kind of scaring me. And then around the corner, the director picks this blue house, and he asks us to, you know, just make a deal with him. All we have to do is shoot an exterior. And the guy does not want to, well, I didn't know. He says, it's my mother's house, let me call. And it was like a grown man. He was like 40. So anyway, I'm sitting in my car. I call my boss. I tell him the story. He comes back, he knocks on my window. I think it's good news. He takes my business cards, throws it in my face, and says, no, we're not interested. I was like, well, okay. So I call my boss. I'm like, you know, the guy crumbled the card. He threw it in my face. Like, I'm pretty sure they're not interested. He's like, well, did you speak to the mother? I'm like, no, but he threw a card in my face. I'm pretty sure that's a hard no. So anyway, like, after a lot of back and forth, I finally got them to agree to use a house across the street, or at least ask them. And it was like, I was like, listen, it's the same style house. Instead of blue, it's just yellow. And I knock on the door, and this old woman answers, and she's there with her grandson. And they ask me to come in. And I give them the whole pitch. And he's like, yeah, yeah. And she's like, we'll have to wait for my husband to get home. He should be home soon. And the kid is showing me around, and he's like kind of telling me about his life. And he says, you know, I haven't seen my mother in a long time. Because I'd asked him, oh, do you visit your grandparents often? He's like, no, I live here. He's like, I don't see my mom often. And I was like, oh, no. And there was no mention of a father. And I just felt bad for this kid. Like, I was like, man, he must have it really hard. And that man around the corner who lives in the man cave has it hard. And the heroin addicts have it hard. And I'm just kind of feeling bad for the block and the guy who, you know, I don't even want to go into the pit bulls. And, you know, the kid says to me, I hope you guys film here. I've got the coolest life. And I'm like, yeah? He's like, yeah. He's like, I've got this awesome house. I've got clothes. I've got a computer. I have awesome friends. I'm like, yeah, man, your life is awesome. And his grandfather comes home. I give his grandfather the pitch. Grandfather's not interested. And the boy just gives him the puppy dog eyes. He's like, please, 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 please. And the grandfather goes, okay. I was like, remember, we're paying you like $1,000 for just 2 hours of filming, or $2,000. He's like, okay. And I remember I'm driving home, and my transmission goes out. And I have to get towed back from Staten Island to Queens. And I'm all bummed out that I have to now shell out $2,000. But then I remembered how lucky I am just to have $2,000 just by meeting this kid. You know, I've made Staten Island something else, but this kid has made something else out of me. He taught me how lucky I am, how grateful to be of what you do have, and maybe I couldn't go all out over Christmas vacation now, and I had to spend it on the transmission. But, you know, whenever I'm feeling like I don't have it good or I'm bummed out about something, I just remember that kid's positive attitude and how much I was changed from that film shoot. Thank you.